Hey, what's going on, guys? Roaring Turkey here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing something different. We're going to be doing a live recording of Sorcery on paper, the old-fashioned way of playing card games. Because you got these new cards, and Tabletop Simulator is like not updated yet, so nobody's really able to like play them online yet. But me and my buddy, we recorded a game session live. And so we're going to be using the new cards and showing you guys like some early iterations of decks that are maybe you'll see later on. It was my first time doing something like this, so it was a learning experience. There was like a lot that I had to figure out, but I got it to a point where I feel like it's kind of presentable. I could always do better. And so thanks for bearing with me. I hope you guys like it, and like please like let me know if you have any suggestions on how I could improve, because I'd really like to do more live paper sorcery type videos if it's something that people are interested in. So yeah, thanks for bearing with me again. If you like it, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any thoughts or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. It'd mean a lot. Let's get into the deck techs. All right, so here you can see the deck that Preston is using. He's playing Druid Beast. He is in Water Earth. And the big star of the deck is going to be Sir Vane, the unique knight, 5 mana, 3/4 with lance and lethal. And you choose an allied beast, and like you give +2 power to Vane and the beast as long as they're near each other. He's using 2 assorted animals to be able to tutor up many beasts. He's got the new Lugbog Cat, the water version of like the Autumn Unicorn, alongside Autumn Unicorn, Grain Sparrow for a bit of healing. And the big thing with Druid and in this deck is he's playing the Poisonous Daggers. So now, between the time in which we recorded this and the time it's uploading, I've learned that the Poison Dagger Druid rule is like up for contention about whether or not it works, but we played as if it does, where the druid's flipped ability of like enemies enter a site and take 1 damage. The poison dagger makes that lethal, and it's very difficult to enter the druid's sites and attack them. But I'm going to do my best to sort of work around that. He's also playing Riptides in order to pull units into his sights and get that effect. So as soon as he's able to get a Poison Dagger, you might see him flip and start to play this control plan, while he also has just these big beefy minions who are looking to deal damage and win through combat. 2 earthquakes to mess things up. He's got a cave in and a Sylvan Splendor, which is also a really nice sight, or an aura actually for beasts. And playing Druid and like the dagger will make it really difficult for me to dispel the Sylvan Splendor, because that would require the successful attacks on sites. Ribble Boggarts and Salmons of Knowledge, new beasts there with random effects, and that is why he's playing the Kythera mechanism. The Atlas is kind of, I didn't really have enough space to put in the Atlas, but, he's playing Water Earth stuff. He's got the Troll Bridges. That's a nice new site there. But we won't spend too much time on this. We're going to get into the next one. And this right here is my Templar deck, Knights of the Round Table. We're doing 3 colors here, Earth, Fire, and Air. You can see in the Atlas at the very leftmost, I've got Glastonbury Tur, the tri-site for these colors. We also have a round table to allow us to cantrip off of our knights. We are playing the 3 purple knights, 3 white knights. We have 3 charges. We got a blink, a couple of grapple shots. Our answer to the poisonous dagger is going to be attack by night, which you might be able to see in that big pile of 3 drops there. But attack by night will cause enemies to drop their artifacts, and so the druid will be forced to drop the dagger and allow us to enter the sites and attack. We also have earthquake. We have a pretty low curve here. Only a couple of 5 drops. We're even playing 2 valors, which is the new 0 mana instant. Excited to. I think that's a lot better than dodge roll. We've got some common senses going. We have 2 rescues because there's a lot of unique knights in this deck. I'm having a hard time seeing them here, but being able to get them back if is a lot nicer with rescue because of course you can only play 1, so once it goes, it's gone for good. Rescue's gonna change that. We're also playing 3 Land Surveyor, 3 Apprentice Wizard. These are our, the very normal, ordinary mortal package that is just giving you value, but they work with Knighthood, which we have 2 of, and Knighthood will let us drop one of our knights right next to them. We've also got the Fail Not Bow as another way to maybe hurt Druid without entering his sights. We can give a minion ranged 3 and just start shooting. And with that out of the way, let's get into the game. Alright, so we're starting off the game here. We're shaking hands and we're rolling to see who's going to go first. We end up both rolling a 19, so we're going to go again. And then I'm going to get the high roll, so I will take the play. And now we're going to draw our cards and do mulligans. So Preston is playing the Druid. I am the Templar on the top. And we're going to have a good game contesting the round. Alright, so looking at the opening hands here, I decide to full keep, and I'm going to show my hand in just a sec here to the camera. So we've got Common Sense, the Round Table, and Grapple Shot. And then for the sights, we've got a Step, a Lookout, and a Treetop Hideout. Some of those are, the Lookout is one of the new sights, has Genesis, opponent reveals their hand, and the Treetop Lookout has Genesis, you can give a nearby minion stealth. But it's just good that we kind of have the attunements covered. We've got Earth Fire from Step, and then we've got 2 Air from the Air sights, and so we're kind of just going to be needing 1 more Earth and 1 more Fire later on. We're going to start by playing the Step, and then we're going to pass. The other 2 sights, kind of, there's benefit to playing them later. I want to get value out of them. Lookout on 2, for example, will let me see his hand, including the card that he just drew. So you get to just see 1 more card if you play that second instead of the Step. He's tapping Druid. He's going to play an Aqueduct. And then, because he's playing a sight and he doesn't control Tawny, he gets to bring in Tawny, a 1 power airborne spellcaster that cannot defend. So we draw a sight for turn, and we're tapping. And we are going to play the Lookout right here. So now Preston's going to reveal his hand. We're going to get to see what he is working with. He's got a Common Sense, a Riptide, a Lugbog Cat, and he's got Hamlet, Town, and then he's got the Poison Dagger. So that is the scary card in this deck. Once he flips Druid and he equips the dagger, we're not going to be able to enter his sights for a while. So that's scary. And then for 2 mana, we're going to play Common Sense. Search our spellbook for an ordinary. We grab a Land Surveyors. Just, a nice early play. Going to help us draw more sight. It's going to allow us to keep drawing spells for turn. We'll play the Surveyor, get a sight. We are still looking to complete our attunement. And Land Surveyor is an ordinary immortal, so we could maybe do something with Knighthood with it. Preston drew a spell for turn. And he will tap Druid and play the Town. So Town is an exceptional sight, and you can summon exceptional minions for 1 less there. And then he's playing the Poison Dagger, so now he's got lethal. Not too big of a concern until he flips Druid. But of course, it's just mana efficient to play it now rather than later. Okay, so I'm going to draw a sight for turn. Even though I do have the Land Surveyor in hand, we know that I have the Treetop Hideout, and I didn't want to play the Surveyor and then kind of get a dud land. I want to wait on that Treetop Hideout to get value out of it. I want a minion that I can actually give stealth. And we actually don't even play the Surveyor. We go for the Round Table. So, of course, that's going to be one of the big enablers for this deck. Whenever you summon a Knight, Sir, or a Dame, or King Arthur to the Round Table, you draw a card. But it must be summoned to your back row. So you're exchanging the tempo there for card draw. We also drew a step when we drew, so that's perfect because now we have 2 earth, 2 fire alongside the 2 air once we play our last site. Then Preston plays a aqueduct, so he gets to 2 water, and he plays the Lugbog Cat. He plays it on the town for the discount. It doesn't really do anything with the extra mana. And then we realize that Lugbog Cat has ability text, and it must be summoned to a water site. So he moves that over to the aqueduct, and he also moves Tawny over to the aqueduct. So he is mounting some units, and he's threatening 5 damage next turn, which is quite a lot. I have to think about how to mitigate this damage. We're going to play the Land Surveyor in the center there, hoping to block. Of course, my problem is that Tawny can attack Land Surveyor and just trade. Druid can always get Tawny back as long as he's not flipped. And if he does that trade, he has a free attack with the Lugbog Cat. And that's 4 damage. That is not insignificant. So I want to chump block the cat with the Surveyor. And I think my best way of doing that is playing the Treetop Hideout, giving Land Surveyor stealth. It's not ideally what I wanted to do with this, but with the stealth on Surveyor, Tawny can't target it for attack, and I will get to decide when to block, and that's going to be for the cat. I offer Preston a bear token for for Bruin. He puts it on the card. And yeah, we pass, and Preston draws for turn. He's drawing a spell. So he's got 3 mana right now. When he plays a site, he'll have 4. He plays the Hamlet. So like the town, the Hamlet is an ordinary site that discounts your ordinary minions by 1. So Preston has a lot of discounts going for the ordinaries and exceptionals. He's going to play a Common Sense. That's going to cost him half of his mana. We'll see what he grabs here. He's going to grab the Brown Bears, so one of the new cards from AL. It's a 4 mana 4. It's not as impressive as the Unicorn or the new Lugbog Cat because it costs 1 more. But 4 power is pretty big, and it's ordinary, so like we just see, you can Common Sense for it. And it's a new card, so why not show it off? So Preston goes in for the attack on the cat. He knows that, I'm not blocking Tawny anyways. So, and then he attacks with Tawny afterwards, puts the first point of damage on me. I'm now at 19, and I've still got these dudes. I've got a big pile of minions on my site, and I gotta do something about them. So we're going to tap Templar to play Beacon. So Beacon is a new exceptional site. It has Genesis. You get 1 mana for each site with an enemy on it nearby. So the Beacon here is going to add 2 mana for the 2 sites with the cat and the tawny, plus the mana it normally provides. So right now I have 7 mana this turn. And then I'm going to play Sir Primus. He's a 4 mana 2/4 Lance lethal, and he gives nearby allies are immune to lethal. He's going to help me block out these units. Unfortunately, playing him on the round table is not an ideal spot right now. He could still attack my surrounding sites and not give me blocks. But that's where I'm going to use this extra mana to cast Blink and put him right on top of the cat and be able to block there. Now, he could crash in Tawny and to break the lance, and then he could attack with the cat and would trade with Sir Primus. And that is kind of what I'm expecting right now. But Primus, his ability to ignore lethal for allies is pretty strong. It's very good in this deck because we're facing the Dagger Druid. So Primus is a way to get around that, and I'm not excited to give him up. At this point in the game, I don't even realize that Primus has that second ability, though. I actually totally forget it. Now, Preston here, he flips Druid, so he brings Bruin into play. So Druid flips. Now he has that ability that when an enemy enters a site, they take 1 damage. And then with the dagger, it's lethal. He also just gets a Bruin, who is a bear. So Preston is bringing the bears out because now he's playing brown bears. So it's just big beasts of the woods here. And then using the discount from the Hamlet, he plays Kythera Mechanism. So it's pretty nice. He does have cards in the deck that will benefit from that. So we'll see if he gets them later. Instead of doing what I was expecting, he crashes in Tawny just for 1 damage, and then he will remove the lance from Prime. He'll give me his cat just to remove the lance. So that's a really, I'm more than happy with that. He's planning on setting up a Riptide to bring Sir Primus into the Aqueduct and kill him with the Druid ability and lethal. Again, at this point, I don't think either one of us realize that he ignores lethal. That's something that will come later. New cards, we don't always read your cards. We draw a site for turn. If we get a site here, we'll have 6 mana. And I guess I'm deciding that I want 6 right now. And so we get a Lookout. So we're going to get to see Preston's hand again. And we see that he still has the Riptide, the Common Sense, and the Cave-In. So a lot of magics. And then I immediately move Sir Primus when I see the Riptide, because I recognize that he is across from an Aqueduct. This is also just a better place to defend anyways. And then we play the Black Plague. So Black Plague is a 4 mana aura, and at the end of your turn, you kill the weakest minion on affected sites. And if it's a tie, you get to choose. And if at the end of your turn, if nothing dies, you dispel it. So a pretty powerful kill spell in air. We're gonna play White Knight on the round table, and this is why we wanted 6 mana. Black Plague is 4. White Knight costs 5, but Templar discounts him by 1, and then his ability, because I have less life than Preston, will discount by an additional 2. So I get to play this 3/5 for only 2 mana, and I get to draw a card playing him off the round table. So we're feeling pretty good here. We're churning through the deck. Preston's going to go for the Common Sense. Now, one thing he could do, he has Common Sense, but if he has 2 mana, he could move Bruin up to the town and then Riptide it on the Aqueduct to save it from the Black Plague. I targeted the Brown Bears with the Black Plague first. It was a tie between Bruin and the Bears, so I got to choose. Because right now Bruin is kind of stuck where he is. He's not able to escape the Plague with any one movement. So we'll see if Preston sees the line with the Riptide. But that would help Bruin escape his fate. He's also thinking about what to do with Tawny. There are no... actually, yes, there is an attack. He can attack in place. And because Primus is tapped, there is no defense there. So he gets to do another damage to me. And he's got this 2 mana. And he passes, so he's going to give up Bruin. He had the Riptide, and he had the mana for it, so I think he totally should have done it. Maybe wanting to save Riptide for when he can kill something, or just not seeing the line. But I will take it. So we're on tap and we're drawing a spell. We're going to move up the White Knight. I think at this point I'm realizing what Sir Primus does. And I'm like, oh wow, I actually can enter these sites. But I actually can't enter with Primus right now because Bruin, for everything I just said, is in a position to defend. So I don't want to trade my Primus for Bruin. Especially when at the end of the turn, Bruin will die to the Black Plague. And I'm moving Templar up too. We're getting handsy with it. Templar does have 2 power. You know, he's not a simple like a 1 power avatar. He's got a sword. You know, he's whacking. We do play a Common Sense. We just played Purple Knight for 2, and now we're Common Sensing. We grab a Charge. Charge is a really nice card in this set. Really excited for it. It's 1 mana and you give an ally charge. So, of course, you can do some very powerful stuff with that. And it's an ordinary, so it's common sensible. It's very nice. End of turn, Black Plague is going to kill Bruin. And that's good because Bruin is just a big unit and he stops Druid from taking damage. He's kind of like a royal bodyguard for the Druid. Okay, Preston is tapping for a site. He is contemplating the position of Bog. So Bog is a new water ordinary. It has Genesis. Until your next turn, units on a target nearby site are immobile until your next turn. So kind of like a smaller Quagmire, but it's like a mix of a Quagmire with a desert, because you target a site, but then you do a Quagmire effect to that site. So he plays it there and he targets the step, and then he Earthquakes. So really powerful removal right here. He switches these sites around. The step is still the target for the Bog, so it's not like he's immobilizing me, which is one of the things he was anticipating. He also, for a really devastating play, he could have hit my back row as well and got my Purple Knight and burrowed my round table. The Earthquake there was good enough. I was not going to let him know that he could have just ruined me completely. He then attacks for Tawny, so I'm at 16. And yeah, we lost our Primus, so now we have no attack at all. And we're gonna be waiting. So there's 2 rescues in the deck, which I could use to bring Sir Primus back. Or there's 3 attack by nights, which attack by night is a new magic in the set. Enemies drop their artifacts and allies strike first this turn. So we can play attack by night and make the Druid drop the poison dagger and then attack. So we played another white knight, and he's discounted a lot between Templar and his own ability. We actually choose to attack now because Templar has the 2 power, so we can do that because like we enter, we take 1, but we hit for 2, and if we do that enough times, we win. Like that's a rate that will go more and more in our favor if we continue doing that. Of course, like, Druid can't just like lethal kill an avatar, so I decided to make use of this 2 power on Templar. And also 6 mana, I'm feeling pretty good actually with the discounts between Templar and the drawing with the round table. Like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about just like the mana and cards in hand. So here he plays Lake of Fonk. It's a new ordinary. It's 4 mana 3 with lethal and submerge. So it's like a big pufferfish. And then we also played the Blacksmith family last turn. That's just to add another body to the board. We don't really care about the attunement anymore. We will, like the family, it's big enough to survive Tawny, so there's no risk in playing it here. But if we get an attack by night, we are going to want as many minions set up and ready to attack as we can get. So we're playing them out to have them. It's an investment that'll pay off later. He moves Tawny above the round table. Obviously, there's no attacks for him on this board, so he's just trying to reposition Tawny and get to a point where he can attack me again. And playing the Lake of Fonk where he did, it now puts me in a spot where I can't really attack his Aqueduct, because then I just trigger a block from the minion, who is bigger than me, so I don't even kill it. And I'm taking 3. I forget that Purple Knight comes with a lance, so I just do that now. And so this probably means that I'm going to have to back up and not attack for now. We're going to have to deal with that Lake of Fonk. And then we pass, actually. There's no plays. I think we're hitting a point in the game where, if I remember my hand correctly, we have a lot of magics. And against this board, where with the Poison Dagger, there's just not a lot to do without sacrificing our units to the dagger. Preston plays a Hunter's Lodge right there. And I've been trying to teach him about site placements. And, playing it there, I would not have played it right there. Because he just gives me an attack next turn. Like, he's not in a position to defend. So, but, he plays the Lodge. And for 6 mana, he plays Assorted Animals. And then this is really cool. He grabs the Ribblebogger and the Salmon of Knowledge. 2 of the new beasts from AL, and the 2 beasts who work with the Kythera mechanism. So maybe next turn we'll get to see them. And that should be exciting. That is all his mana this turn, so he doesn't have a whole lot to do anymore. Although he does have the Lake Animal up and the Tawny. And he just moves Tawny. I am in a position to defend. So we just, and then the Lake of Fonk, I think is best just where it is. It's kind of standing off with the Purple Knight. I'm not sure. Maybe he should start moving it to the Hunter's Lodge so that I don't start whacking him over there. But I don't think it's bad just keeping the funk where it is, keeping it up to defend for if I am able to get through his defenses. We do attack the Hunter's Lodge. I put him to 16. I take 1 from the Druid, so I am at 14. We are closing this gap between our life totals. And then I grapple shot Tawny because doing these small trades, this guerrilla warfare Templar, where I end up taking 1 to deal 2 in and out over again. Tawny is like the difference maker. Like Tawny is the guy who is evening this out. And there's just nothing else I can grapple shot right now because I can't enter his sights. And then we play Sir Balin, who is an avatar. An avatar that, or not an avatar, I'm sorry, a knight who I was hoping to like grapple shot with because he has a really cool triggered ability that when he strikes an avatar, you destroy their sight and burrow allied minions. But it's not looking like I'm going to be able to do that anytime soon. So we are just playing him really to cycle with the round table, dig through our deck, and hopefully find attack by night or rescue. Preston draws a Fellbog Frog. Yeah, our hand right now is basically like 2 charges, like a grapple shot, and like something else. Like there's not a lot of action happening, especially due to the sights here. Like this Druid ability. So Preston with 6 mana, he's gonna pay the 6 on the beasts that he assorted animals for last turn. 3 on the boggart, 3 on the salmon. And then he plays the salmon submerged under himself, and he taps to go fishing. He has the mechanism, so he gets to decide the outcome. And of course, it's going to be favorable to him that he draws 3 cards. Alright, so we're drawing a spell for turn. The boggart is a bit of a scary dude. Those mutations, he's kind of always going to have a unit that he wants on his turn. Of course, right now there is no mutation. It's a start of turn trigger. So I am able to attack the Hunter's Lodge again. Put him to 14. We're at parity. And we play Apprentice Wizard, who is just good for cycling. Yeah, we are just kind of looking for our attack by nights right now. We're building up this scary board. We play Vanishment. Now, this is one of the more exciting cards in the new set, I think. It's 3 mana, and you give all allied minions stealth, and then you draw a card. So, over the course of... Or, well, not over the course of... you get a lot of value for Vanishment, especially when your board is built up like this. I'm putting stealth on, like, what is this, 5 units? And I'm drawing a card. Like... Fade in beta is similar to this, but it's a single unit, and the cantrip is like conditional. But there is no condition here. You just get to draw. So it's great. We're continuing to dig through our deck. I really like having the stealth because now my units are more difficult to remove, and we're waiting for attack by night. So I'm just going to continue building up my board, wait for an attack by night, and when we get there, we're going to have a massive swing that will hopefully do enough damage that I don't need a second attack by night. So Preston has to decide here what mutation to give the Ribble Boggart. He is opting to give it Airborne. And of course, the big thing here is that with Airborne, it can move diagonally, and it can attack my Templar. So that will deal 3 damage to me, put me down to 11. He's tapping for a sight. He just drew 3 cards last turn, so I would expect like some scary stuff, but he told me that he was not loving what he saw. Essentially the same problem I'm having. He has a hand that is full of magics, but he does have the Felbog Frog, so that is a terrifying foe. And then he will pass. So so I'm untapping. I drew a spell for turn. We're gonna play Crown Prince. We're gonna play Crown Prince because we have a King's Council, I believe, in hand. So we play that and we get to draw 2, because King's Council lets you draw for each unique minion you control. So we have Sir Balin and Crown Prince. I really like Crown Prince with that card because he's just a unique who is kind of gonna stick around, and you kind of will always have reliable access to something with the King's Council. But yeah, we play Crown Prince in that first. Again, we're just digging through the deck here, looking for those attack by nights. The Boggart untaps, Preston untaps, and he gets to choose a mutation for the Boggart. He chooses +3 power, and there to the camera I'm showing, I drew the attack by nights on the King's Council. I drew 2 of them actually, so this is going to be perfect. Next turn we should have an explosive turn. We will overwhelm Preston's defenses. Preston is in a deep contemplative thought here. He's got the Felbog, and he's gonna go for an absolute absolute maniacal play here. He puts a dagger on the Felbog Frog, and then moves to attack the White Knight with the lethal. I have a defense here with the Crown Prince, and actually no, my White Knight has stealth, so he's attacking me. The lethal doesn't really do anything here, but he gives me a dagger. He does kill my prince, who goes back to my hand. But hey, at the very least, he opens a way, right, for the Boggart to attack, and I can't double block. So maybe that is what he was hoping for. He gets to clear out my White Knight. He has to attack me because the White Knight has stealth. But I would absolutely defend that because I don't want to take 6 right now. But what he's not expecting is Valor. So the 0 mana, the new instant in AL, may be cast when an ally defends a unit or a site. So I move the White Knight to defend myself, and I give him Valor. So he has +4 power, and he's bigger than the Boggart, and is able to take that trade. Pretty fancy work there with the Valor. And so with Preston's big offensive dealt with, we're gonna start our turn, and we are going to get ready to wreak havoc on Preston's board with attack by night. It was nice of him to give us a dagger. So there it is, attack by night, 3 mana. Enemies drop their artifacts. Allied units strike first this turn. So now the dagger and the mechanism are on the aqueduct. The Druid is not holding them. And we're going to get ready. We're going to do what we can here. We attack first with the Purple Knight to deal with the Afonk. In hindsight, probably... No. Sir Balin also has the same stats. So I was thinking maybe Balin attacking there first would deal one more damage to Preston, but no, it's the same. So we deal with the Afonk. We lose our lance, and now we get going. Sir Balin is going to attack for 3 because lances don't break when you attack a site. It's only a strike. So Balin does 3 there. And then we're going to grapple shot. So this is what I was waiting to do. We grapple shot Preston with Balin. Now the lance will break. It's going to deal 4 damage. And we destroy his aqueduct. And we burrow the mechanism and the dagger. So now he is not getting those back. So now we have him at 7. We have a couple units still untapped, ready to attack. Blacksmith family can deal 2. Templar deals 2. And White Knight deals 3. So that there is 7. We actually can't attack with Apprentice Wizard because even without the dagger, Druid will still kill the wizard upon entering his site. But we make those attacks. We put Preston to door. And we will pass him. I also should have taken 1 damage entering his site there. And I should be at 10. So Preston draws a spell for turn. He's in a big pickle that he's got to get out of. Barry is a good start. He buries Sir Balin. There's still a Purple Knight who's in range to attack him, but not anymore because he plays Barry. And then shortly here we realize that because his site was destroyed, he needs to play a site in order to play the second Barry, because right now he only has 5 mana. And he's going to play a common village. Alright, and then it's our turn. So we don't have a finisher right away. So we kind of gotta play the slow game here. We're gonna advance our units. We'll play Crown Prince. He is always good. We'll play Vanishment. So now just the second Vanishment, just putting stealth back on everything, drawing a card, and stealth is a really good way to end the game because you can't defend stealth attacks. And so we move the Blacksmith family into a position to attack. Apprentice Wizard should be dying here if I am moving him in an aqueduct. We do kind of just miss that. And then I decide to not move because I'm just going to take damage for myself when I don't need to. That was 6 mana, so that should be the end of turn. But Preston's going to get 1 more turn here. He has to figure something out to, at the very least, kill this Blacksmith family. If he can't do that, I just have an attack next turn. He's going to play the Brown Bears because they are a defender, but against stealth you can't defend. He draws a sight. It looks like he doesn't really have any answers to the stealth unit problem, and so I get to win the game there. Good game, Preston.